What's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning into this video where I'm doing a live stream with a friend of mine that I met through YouTube, through Facebook. We're going to do a live Q&A right here for you guys. You can ask me anything about budget. You can ask me about traveling on a budget. You can ask me just about traveling in general, vacations, tips, tricks. Whatever you want to ask me about, feel free to ask me about it. I am also going to be talking with Jonathan to let you guys know a little bit about how we got connected, because how we got connected was pretty awesome. He found my YouTube video, and he actually followed one of my life lessons that I learned, which is to always ask. He never thought that he'd be able to get a chance to be on a video with me, but he has, and he just decided to ask me, and I was like, of course I would want to. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that, how he took one of the life lessons, used it in life, that kind of thing.
Hey, can you hear me,
There
my
we
friend?
go! Yes,
Oh,
finally!
stop, my
What's
friend.
up? All right.
Good.
What's
First
up,
of
guys? So
all,
we are here. What's up, Jonathan? We are
yeah,
here now
first
with
of all,
Jonathan. I met him through YouTube. He actually
yes,
put to use one of
yes.
the life lessons I learned from traveling, and we'll get a little bit into that. But here, this is the time for you guys to just ask us questions as we talk about travel, budget, road tripping, and about the Young Travelers movement. What's up, Jonathan? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, I'm Jonathan from Brazil. First of all, I would like to say that in Brazil, we appreciate a lot your work, my friend. You are very,
Thank you.
you are very dear, my friend. You are. I would like to say that as soon as we see you, we see that you are a different person, and your charisma attracts us a lot because you. How can I say? Yeah, you're a different guy who speak differently, and you have a great idea. Your philosophy and your ideas can change the world because you are great, and you go further. And you
Thank you.
go,
I appreciate
yeah,
it. I appreciate it.
yes.
Yeah.
We
So,
enjoy your channel a lot. Yeah.
yeah. So
Uh,
how did we get connected? How did you get so lucky to be on this channel? How did I get so lucky to have you on this video here?
yeah, it's a very nice to stay with you, and it's a pleasure for me. Thank you very much for you let me stay with you tonight at this time. Yes, sharing this video to anybody else who are interested in to enjoy your life. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So Jonathan had saw my YouTube video, and then he messaged me on Facebook and was like, "Hey, I think could we connect and like maybe do a video together?" And I was like, "Sure, of course. Like, why not?" I mean, he just took what I said about always asking, going for it, even though I don't know Jonathan really at all before this. Like, why would I be somebody who would want to have him on my Facebook channel? But it's people like him who want to travel, who want to spread the message of encouraging travel at a younger age so you can kind of learn what you want to do with life. And before you get all, people always say, like, when you're in college, it's time to travel because you don't have a life, you don't have a family. Well, you have a life, but you don't have like a family, a work, all that stuff. But even better yet, you have the opportunity to learn what you want to do with all of that future time. And so I was like, of course, come on, and we will do some talking, ask some questions, that kind of thing. And we have a question actually from Ben, who he's planning on doing a road trip because the solar eclipse is coming on August 21st. And he asked me if I should book a flight in advance or wait until closer to the end date. I would honestly say you have like a month before. I would look at booking one now because it's probably cheaper. Last minute, you might get stuck having to drive. But honestly, you're going from Maryland to like North Carolina, South Carolina. Like, I would just drive it, road trip it. It's not that far. It's going to be cheaper for sure, gas wise, to do that. Just use Gas Buddy, and you'll definitely save money. Um, what's up, Jenna? Thank you, Dylan. I am doing well. I appreciate it. But Jonathan, what questions do you have for me?
Okay, we in Brazil, we have a great question. We want to know about you something very important about your career, about your what was the moment that you realized that you figure out that this amazing
I think he got frozen there for a second, but I think I know where he was going with that.
when exactly did you realize, did you figure out that this activity could change the life of yours and of you and other persons around with this philosophy of
Gotcha.
the video? Yes, when
Cool.
exactly? What was the time? Yes,
For sure. Yeah.
got it,
So
my
right before I
question?
answer that, I'm gonna tell you, Ben. Even if you're going to Illinois, it's gonna be cheaper. It's only like 12 hours of driving, and I don't know how many miles it is. It's probably like 500 maybe miles. It's still gonna be cheaper to drive. I would just drive, and you can do it if you wanted to, you could do it all in a day. I would definitely, like, I did almost all of that in a day on my way out to San Diego. So definitely recommend driving, not taking a plane. It just makes everything harder because then you can't get to the actual best site of seeing the solar eclipse without like renting a car or something like that. But to answer your question, Jonathan, last summer, so my dad's from France, so I think I got like the interest in people, culture, that kind of thing from my dad. And I've always wanted to like travel the world, I would say. And then last summer or last spring break, I watched a gentleman by the name of Casey Neistat on YouTube, and I saw him go from like nothing to everything that he wanted to be. And I was like, if he changed his whole life, why can't I just travel like the way I want to? And I was like, I realized I should travel, and so I decided I was going to road trip across the United States instead of traveling the world because it's a lot more practical, a lot more economically feasible. And I was 21. I didn't have a lot of like travel experience, and traveling to another foreign country might have been a bit much in case something happened or whatnot. So last summer I traveled all across the United States, and it was after that, like ever since, it's like you get the travel bug. And so after that, like I was just, every time I have a school break, I'm traveling, I want to do something. I went to Europe over winter break, did like 18 days before I got robbed. It was supposed to be a month long, but I got robbed in Italy. Long story, there's a video about that on YouTube. It's called like the worst that happened to me in Italy, something like that. But yeah, it was sometime last summer when I started traveling and I realized how much I enjoyed, how much I learned about myself. And you know, actually talking about that, how much I learned about myself, it came like after the fact. It was not something that like came right away. It's not like while I was traveling I saw it, but it was like after I finished that summer trip, I was at school for the fall semester and I was thinking, that was such an awesome trip. I learned so much. I got to develop a marketing pitch. I got to grow as an individual. I got to grow in my faith. Like there were so many cool things that came about it from it that I was like, this is something that I want to continue to do. And it wasn't until this summer that I realized I was going to call it the Young Travelers Movement and try to inspire other people to do it. And so that's kind of how it came to fruition. It's kind of like the steps it took in a short version.
And when it comes to travel, we have a lots of difficulties. Sometimes we can't afford, and you speak about this literally. You said we don't have excuses to do nothing because it's an amazing activity, and that's why we should practice a lot. The way you talk is better than me because you put it this way. You put it this way, and you understand that if you how can I say, no matter how difficult you have to travel, and because it's an amazing activity, that's why we should practice a lot as long as you can. Yes,
Yeah.
much as you can. But the way you speak is really amazing to hear from you because you speak better than anybody else.
Yeah. No.
Yes.
I think it's applicable for whatever it is that you're doing in life. I think that the key words is if there is a will, there is a way. Like if there's a true will, a true desire, then there's a way to figure it out. And so like last summer when I started on my road trip, I was planning on paying for everything. Like I was going to try what I can to like save money, but I was going to pay to go to museums and go to like fun things and stuff like that. And then I realized I've been learning marketing all my life. I hear about people doing like marketing spiels and like trying to sell things and whatnot. I was like, why not sell myself and the fact that I share on social media? And so that's when I was like, all right, what if I try to develop a pitch? And, you know, it took me like a couple weeks to get that pitch refined to where businesses were saying yes and giving me free admissions to museums and things like that. And a lot of times it also didn't just come to like having that spiel and the fact that I was sharing on social media, but the fact that I was doing those spiels and other people were listening in and they were curious about what I was doing. And they said, hey, even though the business won't pay for your ticket, I'll pay for it. Like that happened to me a couple times and I was just shocked at how people wanted to help out. And so whatever it is, like if there is a will, there is a way. It might not be like paying your way through it. It might not be marketing your way through it. It might be just asking for help, telling people what you're doing, things like that. And you'll be surprised, especially like in America, like there's so many different kinds of people, so many different experiences. Like I know in Europe, there's some places where there's certain kind of hospitality where they'll just invite you in, like especially in like Scandinavian nations, they're so friendly. Like if it depends on where you go, but there's a lot of chances that you could just ask and you shall receive kind of thing. And kind of goes along with that second life lesson that I always talk about, which is always asking.
Yeah.
What's up, Jared and Joanna, for joining? Go ahead, John.
Okay. We heard about your diversity that you have as you were traveling a lot. You were robbed There was a time when you were robbed, and it wasn't. How can I say? You didn't use this as a excuse for stop traveling or so, but it wasn't. Even though you are taking risks sometimes. Yes, well, we are familiar with this history that you posted on YouTube in your great channel that we appreciate a lot in Brazil. Yeah, yeah, we heard about this. Every people around me think the same. That's why we appreciate your ideas. Your point of view is great about this amazing history
Yeah,
from you. Yes.
I'm kind of glad you brought that up because being robbed taught me like a lot of things. Well, because first of all, I talked about this in one of my videos, is that like no one place is better than another. Like I went to Austin, Texas, which nobody would have told me was an unsafe place. They would have been like, yeah, go to Austin, Texas, that's fine. People told me, don't go to Mexico. Nothing happened to me in Mexico. But when I went to Austin, Texas, I missed 2 shootings. So like, no matter where you go, like things can happen. So safety should not be like safety is a concern, but it should not stop you from doing things if there's no legit like safety like precaution that you need to take. Like there are some places in the Middle East, and like I'm not being judgmental or anything, but there's certain places that are clearly like unsafe. But like if someone's just telling you, oh, I've heard that there was like a shooting the other day, or there was a bombing the other day, or something that happened that is not like very, very common, or just something that's like a small like fear, don't let that stop you from traveling. And when I got robbed in Italy, like I had heard that there was, that theft in Italy was a big thing. I did what I should and what I could to like kind of protect my gear and stuff like that. When you're on the train, you're supposed to, if you fall asleep, put your arm like through the strap or something like that. And unfortunately, I wasn't expecting to go to sleep, and I did go to sleep for like 20 minutes, and I woke up and everything was gone. So that was an unfortunate mistake on my part. But it taught me so many things. One, about like how to, when you get robbed and they literally take everything, your passport, your French ID, your rail pass, your clothes, your everything, and you're left with nothing, how to go to an embassy, like prove that you're an American citizen, get a new passport, find your way back to Paris where my grandparents live. Like it taught me so much about like defending for myself, as well as like after the fact realizing that I can live 2 weeks without a cell phone. I can live 2 weeks without like being on social media. I can live alone for some time, doing like just with myself, exploring the cities, that kind of thing. Like it just taught me so much about myself and about growing and about people that I met along the way who were either caring or apathetic about my situation and that kind of thing. So even though it was a bad thing that happened, many good things came out of it. And an even greater thing, just to throw in there for people who are focused on the money, is I had flew with WOW Airlines, and there's a company called Air Help who like helps customers get justice for delayed flights. And I had a delayed flight on WOW Airlines, and I ended up getting $400 back from them, which was like a third of what I had lost value-wise. So like, it's just crazy how things work out. I think for me, I take it a lot of times as like a God thing. God is showing himself through all of this. Like he puts me through these trials and these tribulations on purpose so that I can learn these greater things about myself, about him, and about the world around me, that kind of thing. And so usually I'd be really frustrated when something like that happens, but I've learned to now like realize that, you have to have those bad times in order to have the good times, which is, again, another one of my life lessons that I've learned from travel. What's up, everybody who joined? Caitlin, Emma, my Aunt Ann. If you guys have any questions, feel free to throw them out. We can both answer them, kind of share the different perspectives from the United States versus Brazil. That's what's really cool about this social media and all this stuff, is that you can kind of connect with the world. We have about 10 minutes left before I got to go to church, so feel free to ask anything you guys want. Same thing to you, Jonathan.
Yeah, yes, we are always enlightened with your answer. You enlightened us with your answer. Yeah,
Thank you.
I would like to say that we really appreciate your videos on Brazil, and I hope you have succeed in your career, in your video. I hope you have lots of followers. I think you are starting your yes. That's
Yeah,
everything that you
and
do. You will be successful.
and the way that I will do that is just by having people who are passionate about it, like you, who share it with their friends and tell people, hey, if you want to travel, check out this page. Check out the Young Travelers Movement, which is the Facebook page that I made exclusively for people who actually want to make travel a reality. Like, I have people who follow me on my personal Facebook page who just think it's cool to see what I'm doing and stuff like that, but who aren't necessarily interested in making travel a reality. So I started the Young Travelers Movement, which is a page meant just to be for people who want to actually make travel possible. It's where I'm going to share the tips and tricks and all the things that I have done to help other people make travel a reality, no matter where you want to go, whatever budget you want to do it on, that kind of thing. And so I'm glad you joined. Feel free, any of you guys, join it, invite other people to it. I'll put a link to it down below after the video. But yeah, it means so much to me to have people like yourself who are actually really interested in it and who want to find out more and who I can actually help.
We want to know from you something. When it comes to travel and when you enjoy your travel, what did you like most? What did you interested most about the culture or the place in itself? What do you like more? What do you interested? What's the most interesting from you?
My favorite thing to do when I go somewhere is to just be present, to be in the place, to just go around. Like last summer, I had my bicycle with me when I was driving, so I would go into the city, just bike around, and I just liked being around, looking around, seeing the stores, seeing the streets. And like when I was in Europe, I had my scooter with me, so I just ride through the cities on my scooter and like just look at how different things are. Look at the architecture, the people, how they walk, how they talk, like just taking in the differences and seeing how there's similarities, differences. I just like being there and seeing and experiencing. Like I don't need to go to museums and do attractions and things like that. I just like being there. Like that was the biggest thing for me. But last summer when I went around the country, I realized after going to the Boeing factory and seeing how planes were made and realizing that I've always loved looking up at the sky and like looking at planes. And here in San Diego, the airport goes literally right over our heads. Planes fly like 20 feet over your heads. I realized that I wanted to go into the airline industry if I were to go into a career that wasn't my own business as an entrepreneur. And so for me, what I really enjoy is like the sky and like mountain ranges and like that kind of thing. And so when it comes to like things to do, I like to always look for nature and like mountains and skies. And then when I go to a new place, it's just being present, really taking in the atmosphere, where I am, and that kind of thing.
Yeah. What's the difference that you notice between, because you live in the United States, as Brazil, United States is a huge country. That there are lots of difference between people. And what was the most? What's the?
Well, one interesting thing is that a lot of people, and I would say a lot of people from outside the United States will think that United States is one country, so it's all like the same. But it's very, very different, and that's the one thing that I hypothesized was true last summer when I decided to travel across the United States. I was like, the United States is pretty diverse, and after traveling, I realized it really is. Even within states, it's so diverse. Like the South, like Southern hospitality is ridiculous. So like it's just awesome. Like Louisville, Kentucky, like that was amazing. I was driving to Mount Rushmore and I got lost like in South Dakota. The people there were so nice. I walked into like a McDonald's, like what was it? Some restaurant like the equivalent of McDonald's. And I asked one person for like directions because my GPS was dead and all that. And literally the whole restaurant came over and started helping me. They let me borrow their phones. I could call my mom and let her know that I'm going to be offline for some time. And like, that was crazy. And then like, I got to certain parts of California, like Los Angeles, where they're not, I don't want to say they're mean, but they're not as friendly. They're very like fast paced. Same thing as like New York City, but like New York City, there's so much to do. And so like all the different states are like, there's just so much diversity, even within a state, even within like a section. And when I went to Europe, like same thing. Europe is like, everybody thinks the European Union, it's all one thing. It's not all one thing. There's like different countries in there and they're all very different. They all have different things. And I personally, going back to like what I enjoy doing, like Krakow, Budapest, and Prague, like those are the coolest places because they were so different to what I had ever seen before in my life in the United States and what I knew about Europe. So that was really the cool thing that happened. And like, I just realized that there's so many differences, but yet we are all people. We all want to be in relationships. We all want to travel. We all want to be with other people. We want to have fun. Like there's so many similarities in the broader picture, but there's little things like culture, traditions, habits that kind of separate us, but really don't make us any different than each other.
Yeah, that's the peculiarity to live in a huge country. We have lots of difference around when it comes to culture, when it comes to, yes, anything else.
Yeah. All right, well, let's leave it with that because I do have to get going to church. But thank you, Jonathan, for coming on to the live stream. Guys, we will be posting this on YouTube afterwards. Go check out the Young Travelers Movement. If you really do want to start traveling, share it with your friends. Let them know that if they want to travel, I can help teach you guys how to make it a possibility. And so can the community, because we're all going to share about our travel tips, tricks, hacks, all those things to help you travel on any kind of budget. So with that being said, please do share with somebody you know. Leave a comment, question. Feel free to message either of us. We'd love to talk to you. And then until next time, high five.
High five.
Yeah, see you.